This is Speaking from Water, episode 29, and it's our second beach walk podcast. And it's a very special beach walk podcast because I have a legendary coach with me, legendary swimmer. He's a champion himself. He's a maker of champions, Bobby Guntoro.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Sean.
Bobby, thank you for coming on the podcast today. You are our first coach, and I am, again, very honored to have you. You've done amazing things here locally at UNCW, but your history goes super deep, which is very inspiring. First of all, how are you doing, and what's been going on with the team lately?
Good, thanks. Yeah, it's been doing good. We're in a Christmas training right now, which is, kids are done with their fall semester, and they're just staying in Wilmington to really just train and preparing. We got 10 weeks until the championships. If those of you guys who does endurance sports understand that this is the important 10 weeks for us to last push. In the meantime, understanding that it's a tough time for the kids because, all their friends are gone. They go home for Christmas break. So how do we move forward and really balancing everything as well for them? But overall, it's good. Yeah, kids are good, so that's good.
So sick, man. So you're an athlete yourself. You're also a young coach, but you've been in the game now for 2012 is when you first started. But before we go deep into that, you are originally from Jakarta, Indonesia, and that is an amazing place to grow up, I'm sure. Take us to the very beginning. How is swimming in Jakarta? What's that swimming culture like?
Well, I actually from Bali. So I actually was born. I was born in Jakarta, and then my family moved to Bali. I spent most of my growing up in Bali. The swimming in Bali was very, just like Wilmington. Kind of to tell the truth, because we don't really swim for competitive. We learn to swim to be in the ocean. They're not really, official swim clubs. Many of that, not really. Like I said, hey, a lot of local kids just learn to swim so that we can body surf or get on a surfboard. And I think to me that was me, and that's the beginning of my swimming. I happens to be liking competition, so I learned how to swim. I did it, get on the ocean with everybody else, and then, the local club asked me, hey, you want to go, compete in this small local age group meet? I'm like, yeah, let's try it out. My first meet, I got last in everything I did, and I came back. I was so upset. I told my parents. I was probably 5-6 years old. It was like 25, whatever. Just kind of like a summer league here, It might have been 7 or 8, maybe 7 or 8. And I remember I came home, rode my bike home from the meet, and I'm just like so upset. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna get beat again. So that was kind of really the beginning. Was like, there was nothing really set club, but I remember I would go to swim in the ocean and just like going fast, just doing my, because I don't want to get beat again. And that was just a kind of like from one level to the next level to the next level, and moved to Jakarta into the training center.
Well, hold on, I want to go back a little bit. So, what was that second meet like, and what did you do as a young child to coach yourself? Because a lot of kids, they might say, hey, I'm terrible at this. I see kids, they try something one time, and they don't do well, and they're like, I'm bad at this. And what was it in you that you're like, I can get better?
Yeah, well, my mother is a teacher, and my mother said, she really believed in learning and doing it repetitions and really putting your head down, and when you want to study something, you got to take your time. And I just took my mother's advice, and I was like, all right, if I want to beat these guys the next time, I just got to do it more. And I just do that, and for whatever reason, I love sprinting. So I was like, if I just do sprinting over and over again, I think I'll be better at sprinting. And that was 7 or 8 years old, and I joined a really just local club that they allow me to come just twice a week because they have a paid membership and also non-pay membership. The pay membership, they can go every day. The non-pay membership, they can do twice a week, and I was the non-pay membership. So I just joined that and then take a look at what I do and what they did really with me for the 2 days. And the rest of the day, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do it myself on the 3 days then. The next competition, I got a taste of winning. I got 2 events. I won. I still remember to this day. Like I won in 2 events, and then the other 3, I got third, I think, or something. And then that kind of gave me more. All right, now I want to win everything.
And what were those events?
The first 2 events that I won was 25 freestyle and 25 backstroke. I could not swim butterfly at all. Like I guess I just didn't have the technique, and that was really where coaching comes in, where and my family after that just like, do you want to do this? Yeah, I like to do it, and they start working out with the local club, and if I can do 3 days a week or 4 days a week, so, and mainly just working on technique, and that was really my first experience with kind of structured swim club, I guess.
Right.
So yeah, that was really the beginning. It's kind of like summer league here, right?
Yeah.
So my competitiveness, I don't know, I don't like to lose. So that's really the beginning of it.
So you took it real serious. I mean, eventually you got to the national team in Indonesia.
Yeah.
What was that build up like?
Oh man, it was really interesting. Actually, not too long ago, I spoke about this with my wife. How my wife kind of knew the track, what I did, but she didn't know the detail. So I was 12 years old. That was my first time ever competing in a national competition in Indonesia. I remember it was 12 and under. I was in that group, and nobody really knew who I was in a national level because I never competed nationwide. That was the first time. In that particular meet, I won 4 golds, all like really first place in 50 fly, 50 back, 50 breast, 50 freestyle. And that was the only event that we can compete in 12 and under. That's one coach that played an important role in my life, since he was my second father. His name is Raja Nasution. Raja means king in Indonesia. That's actually his first name is Raja, which is kind of cool. But he's pretty well known in Indonesian swimming history. He has 5 children. He has 4 daughters that they were the only family that put together a relay on the women's side. They actually won national title in the open. So he's really good coach, and he recognized my talent. And after the championships, he approached my family and in the championship to say, hey, are you serious about swimming? Do you want to take it to the next level? And I kind of say like, well, at that point, I got the taste of success, and work hard and all that. I said, yeah. And he said, he offered me to live with them, with their family, and move over to Jakarta and kind of go from there. And my parents just really have a conversation with me, but to give a little bit more context, it's, we came from a family that we lived check to check, and my mother is a teacher. My father worked in a hotel in Bali, and also owned like a small printing business in Bali. And I think we knew that, hey, through the sport, whatever sport like this, we could get scholarship to get better education, to get further our education. And to me, that was important for me, that hey, this could be my golden ticket to not only further my education and also help my family out. So I want to be able to help my family out. So we didn't have a house growing up. We just kind of like rent home and all that. And I always feel like, hey, we become national champions overall. Make a living, doing that and get scholarship and all that. So 12 years old of me say yes to that offer to go move to Jakarta, and that was really the first time I live away from my family. So that's kind of like the beginning of the journey.
How was that emotionally for you as a young kid?
Yeah, it was in the beginning. It was very like motivated, but then things kind of settled down a little bit. The first few months, I'm just like, oh wow, like I'm not seeing my family, and it's a Bali and Jakarta back then. If you travel by car, we didn't have a car, so if you travel by the bus, it'll take about about 20 hours, and so I only see my parents, my family only probably like three times a year, at most 4 times a year. I don't know. I think it was at the time, like, I couldn't really remember, but it was a good. I was presented with real life very quickly. It wasn't just swimming suddenly. It was more that how you're living with people outside your family, 24/7. And I think I credit that experience a lot for me to really like in my adult life right now. So yeah, I think that was, I wouldn't say difficult. It was just different. It's a different route. I think in our country, that was one of those things where some people do that to have to get a better living, and we kind of hoping for the light at the end of the tunnel and kind of go from there. So just the way of life, I think.
And you made it, man. It's so inspiring. So you're 12. What's that journey like then from 12 to eventually UNCW?
Yeah. So when I got 12 years old over there, and then when I turned 13 in the next championships, that's when I kind of like my breakthrough. I broke a lot of national age group record, and then the federation realized the talent, and they put me in this long-term scholarship program, meaning that you have to prove it that you can maintain a good academic performance in the classroom, and also continue to be top 2 in your age group in swimming. And if you're able to do that for 3 to 5 years, they'll send you to another country to continuing training and education and all that. There was a program for Indonesian swimmers to go to the United States, and really just that was kind of like the first student athlete combined in a way. We were lucky because we had 3 swimmers in the 90s that one of them graduated from Arizona State, 2 graduated from UCLA. So they were very heavily involved with the federation to make sure that young swimmers like myself would have the same opportunity. So in 2004, the Indonesian government sent me to a boarding school in Jacksonville, Florida, called the Bowl School. And the Bowl Schools has...
And how old are you at this point?
17 years old. 17 years old, yeah. I was a senior in high school in Indonesia, but when I came here, I didn't have enough credit to be senior, so they moved me back to being a sophomore, really, in high school.
How was that educational difference as far as like classes and the background of knowing what you needed to know?
Right.
Because English is a second language for you.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't learn English until I was 16
Wow.
So when I get a boats, and you know it's different, right? I mean, you learn the language, and you only speak it twice a week. That's not enough. So yeah, I quickly realized I know all the material that when I came from Indonesia to here, like the math in Indonesia is way ahead of America.
Really?
It was cruising for me. I was just like, I know this, but I just didn't know the language.
Yeah.
I remember like I told my first class was world history. It was taught by a guy with a super thick Irish accent. So I'm like, I couldn't understand anything. My first exam was like a D. And I was just, because I couldn't understand the language. And they weren't allowing me to have dictionary during each exam. So
No accommodations.
no accommodation, they just want to go straight up. And you know, I asked him like, how can I get better at this? And he spent, for the rest of the semester, I spent 30 minutes on the recess? How do you say recess?
Yep.
Yeah, 30-minute recess. The class was right before recess, and I just stayed with him and just run through
Extra time.
extra time, because like he was really kind to me. That Mr. O'Riordan, I remember this. He was very kind to me. Whatever the material that we went through in the class that day, he would go through again with me for that 30 minutes. And so I remember there was a 5 exam. First one I got a D, and then the next one I got a C plus, and then a B, and I actually got the highest score in the last exam. I got 100% on the very last exam. So it was like really kind of a first success feeling and partnership feeling that I'm like, wow, you know, and that was a really, I would say, how would I say this? I think it was a bigger meeting than just a teacher, and it was more for me like I have hope in this country that there is somebody like Mr. O'Riordan would spend an extra time that really invested in me. He sees something in me and invested, and we found success. So to me, that was a really cool. Like, you know, I didn't think back then that it was gonna, you know, last forever in me, right? The impact that he had in me. So yeah, man, that's and then bowl schools, man, it was a tough school. So UNC Wilmington swim team used to take Christmas training at bowl school.
No doubt.
So I didn't know. I mean, I was learning about college swimming and all that. I wanted to go to college in the United States.
So that was the goal.
That was the goal.
Yeah, education was the Olympics.
Yeah. For me, it was like when I go, I made a promise to my parents, like, okay, if I go to the United States, I'm gonna get my degree. I want to get a job somewhere else in the world, so I can. And I remember I have a simple goal. I want to buy my parents' home. That's it. And I told them I'm going to buy a home for our family. And yeah, so that was the goal. And again, like just really lucky. I didn't know where Wilmington is. You know, and it happened. They train after I trained when I was at bowl. So bowl school is, we have swimming pool and everything. So you got the dorm, school, and the swimming, and everything is in the same campus. So it's like a boarding school. After practice during this time, and they came in to practice after us. I'm just like, I'm gonna watch this practice. Just sit down there and watch. And Coach Dave Allen, rest in peace. And Dave Allen came up to me. He was just like, why are you here? Don't you have like school to do? I was like, no, I finished all my work and I just want to watch our college team practice. And they were there for 5 days, and I show up for 5 days just to watch them practice. But every day, have more conversation with them. Every day, a little bit longer. And you know, and Todd, the Sorbo, and met Todd over there. And after they were done with recruiting, with Christmas training, they start calling me, and really that was that was Christmas before I graduate. Still have no idea where I'm gonna go. And in March,
Hold on.
Yeah.
What was that departure talk like? Because I'm sure there was a build up to it, and then you were like, "Oh, they're leaving. I got to have this farewell conversation with Dave."
Yeah, it was just really go with the flow conversation. To be honest with you, it wasn't like necessarily. I was just so like, man, these guys are really cool to talk to. Just really like easy to talk to, And keep in mind, by that time, I've been living on my own for 8 years now. Well, 6 years or 7 years, right?
Yeah.
And I've met so many different people, and and
You knew how to rap.
Yeah, I mean, just exactly. So it's just kind of like I can talk to a wall,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when I knew they were leaving, and Dave and Tyler were like, well, we gotta get in touch. And just to kind of see, where this is going and everything. I told them my background, and I told them that, hey, my parents can't afford anything, and I'm just gonna look for a place that would have me. And I think to me, I was being honest with them immediately, just like, this is what it is. And I committed to UNCW before visiting Wilmington.
Wow.
I
You had no idea
I have no idea what I'm getting
what
into.
you're getting into.
I have no idea what I'm
You
getting.
didn't know about how awesome this place was.
Excuse me. Nope.
Incredible.
So, yeah, and then they had me like, hey, do you want to come visit? I was like, I told them, well, I can't fly. I don't have money to fly. So, but I trust you. And they flew me down here actually for a weekend, and they took me to the beach. First thing, from the airport, they took me to PT's Burger. That was my first restaurant I ate here in Wilmington.
Special.
After PT, they were like, all right, hey, we're gonna go back to the dorm, put all the stuff, get the board short, and go to the beach. All right, and we did that, and I was like, man, how lucky I am. So I never visited Wilmington. I didn't know anything about Wilmington. I know Dave and Todd, and that's all.
Okay, let's take it to that moment. You step on the beach in Wrightsville. Well, you've been to beaches all over the world. You're from Bali. You've
Yeah.
seen the beauty of the beaches. How was it? Your first impression here?
I thought, well, there's two distinct different, I feel like, because when I was at Bowles, we would go to Jacksonville Beach. It's huge, right? And I came here, I'm like, man, I just feel that more small town. And that's more me. And it's kind of like I feel that you would have a community around rather than just a massive beach, And I think that the quaint, there's not too much businesses, not as commercialized, And
You could run into someone you know.
exactly, and that's what Dave was telling me. I still use the phrase to this day. He say that, you go to Wilmington, it's too big for you to know everybody, but it's small enough that you walk around, you see somebody you know. I was like, all right, I like that. I like that idea, and I still use that to tell the recruits, like, hey, Wilmington is just the way it is, and it's gonna be too big for you to know everyone, but it's gonna be small enough. If you go somewhere, you see some people you know, and that's really, I feel home. To be honest with you, when I step on Wrightsville, I'm like, man, this is nice. This is I can live like this. I can live here. So yeah, man, that's my first experience. Yeah, and now we're here. Look at that.
Hey, I look at
we're
this.
here, man.
Yeah, so sick. So, how then was it that you signed up? You visited, you go back, and then it's time to go to UNCW.
Yeah.
What's that first year like?
First year was an adjustment year. I think, actually.
How old were you? This is your first year of college. You're
18?
20.
20,
Okay.
I was 20 years old, yeah. And
because you had your other classes you were taking to be ready for UNCW.
You got it, exactly. Because you know how in the system here, right, you have to go certain credits, right? So I was 20 years old, and I think the biggest adjustment was it's not so much how we do things because I've been living the swimming, living with for like really I was a professional at that point in a way.
Yep.
I knew how to balance everything. I don't like. I think it was more. It was more an adjustment with living around my teammates that was the first time ever living on their own.
The party life.
Yeah, exactly. They were the first time they ever have freedom. And
You had freedom now for 15 years.
For 15 years, exactly. I was freedom. Like I didn't have to worry about anything, you know. And I was just kind of like, it's just the way.
So you're like almost a coach to these kids.
Yeah, it's just in a way. I'm like, man, it's just like, and you know, you guys. I remember like some conversation, like you know, you guys don't have to do this because you also still have freedom next weekend, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you and in fact, I was like, this is the first few weeks you're not living under your parents' roof, and you're gonna have this for the rest of your life. You know that, right? So it was really, I was in awe in a way when I was like, whoa, like, okay, but at the moment I didn't really realize that was their first time ever. You know, like, hey, you go to school all day, all semester, and then your first day of summer break, you gotta be like, let's go. You know, it's kind of like that feeling for them, and I feel like the adjustment then where I wanted to continue to train when the season's over because it was more that, hey, that was my life.
You felt comfortable doing the reps, doing the sets.
Yeah, and it just it was a normal for me. I didn't know any other way. I never like see myself just not swimming, and after February, you know, I never see myself, and that was another adjustment. Some people was, you know, they reached the pinnacle, they reached the collegiate Division 1, they're being a part of it, and then after 2 years, they were like, now I'm only gonna do what coaches ask me to do, and that's it. You know, I'm not gonna. So it was more the, oh wow, okay, some swimming is different for other people, and that's okay. It's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But it was a learning for me that this sport is a beautiful sport, in number one, but I think to me more importantly is the relationship with water is different for other people, and unfortunately for some people they didn't enjoy that relationship. For me, I enjoy that relationship. I wanted to be in the water. So
now, look, can we hone in on that point for 1 second? Because I've seen a lot of swimmers, and it's like they're super talented, but once they graduate, they're like, I'm never swimming again.
Yeah.
And I've been swimming my whole life,
Yeah.
super hardcore since a super early age.
Yeah.
Maybe, like you're saying, for the wrong reasons, like their parents wanted them to, or whatever, and then they get out. And do you see this a lot? And can you say a little bit more about that? Like how maybe one can avoid such a thing, because swimming is such a beautiful sport. It's a dance, and you can take it to your deathbed. The oldest people can be in the water, and it's a shame that people so good give it up.
I think it's a combination. I don't think it's necessary. I like to tell this much to the staff. When we got kids in college, it's at the top of the iceberg. Everything else under that water. So the history, how they were raised and all that, we don't actually know. We don't, you know,
they haven't told you about the demon.
Exactly. They didn't tell. We didn't know what that relationship with water is for them growing up. You know, and so I think to me, I hate to say this that. I mean, coaching swimming is a part of this. I mean, it's my profession, right? And I mean, you know, your kids doing the swim team with us, right? And it's with the Aquahawks, right? And I created that because I thought about this exact question: why do people swim to expert? Why is that? Because I think, you know, you can't take a look at it unless they're growing up life. Because think about this, there is one, and for everybody else, there's one food that our mom made that we ate way too much in our younger days, and we just can't handle it now. We just like, I don't want to eat it. I have enough of that. For me, for my wife, it's spaghetti. She was one of four, and she ate spaghetti a lot, and she ate a lot of like microwave food and everything a lot, So, and I think I associated that into swimming, where some people, they've been doing swimming as an organized sport since they're 6 years old. How many 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old right now that in this town? Now, is that a wrong way to do it? Hey, if that's gonna work for you, that's great, But they're swimming 5 days a week, 50 weeks, 48 weeks a year. I mean, you do that for how many years? It's kind of hard. And not only that, some of them enjoy it, but most of them, they didn't want it. It's just like, Mom, no, you gotta go. And I think to me, the balance, as I'm a parent, so you just like, it's like, what's the balance here for us to?
How do you do that with your kids?
I told my kids, like, he has yet gone any swim lessons.
And you did it. And for those listening, how old are your kids?
My kids are 2-year-old and 4-year-old. The way we teach our kids, the 4-year-old, and learn how to swim was, we're in the water with them, like nonstop. We're in the water with them. Playtime. We don't really, exactly. And now, I think some parents don't have time to do that, right? And we're lucky enough that, my work schedules allow me to do that in the summertime. My wife's work schedule allow her to be with the kids, so we can be consistent. We can offer that safety, for our kids. And some parents can't do that, and that's how we try to, how do we fill the blank for the community, right? But again, like I said, beyond the swimming lessons, and that's why we want to create something. I want to create something that, hey, they can do this just for, 6 weeks, 12 weeks. They like it, they take a break. And you know what crazy with the US is swimming all year round? They're practicing right now, all the way. Right now, the school's out, they got practice until 8:30 p.m. So I'm just kind of like, at what point? We have to take a look at it all the way to when we were young, when they're much younger than 18-year-old,
Well, I want to get back to your history, but I really like this point because you're really touching something in my soul. You're talking about the Aquahawks.
Yeah.
And for those who are listening and don't know, Bobby started a youth swimming program at UNCW, where he has the community come and he has his UNCW coaches coach young children, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's really it's a unique program in this area. We don't have a big aquatic center like they have in big cities and such. The natatorium, the Dave Allen Natatorium at UNCW, is the premier pool in this area. So Bobby has, as the head coach at UNCW, allowed the kids and set up a program to come and swim. And as a parent who has a child in the group, it's the vibration when you step into the natatorium is a beautiful thing. It's a college swimming pool, and you have that high level feeling. The flags, the water is perfectly crystal clear. It's at the right temperature for a competition, and everything is beautiful. Now, my son Dax, who's in the program, he is a child who you have to bribe and force into the class daily. He comes out of it feeling great, but every day I have to negotiate with him to get into it, and I don't like negotiating something so beautiful. I think he should be dying to go. And that's something that as a parent I've had to balance and struggle with, because the child's only 8 or 9, but also 8 or 9-year-olds are trained for the Olympics. So it's like, what, and I see the talent, I see the potential in his physique, in his body, but at the end of the day, the individual has to want it bad. And that's how.
That's how I started.
right, exactly. So, I mean, we've been kind of honing in on this particular point, but what advice do you give to a parent like myself under these conditions?
Sure. Just like my experience, I think find something that motivates him in that particular sport. Does he like to win? Does he like competing? What is it, right? Majority of the time, an 8-year-old kid, they want to swim because they like that competition. The summer league, they love summer league. It's and a lot of time, and to me, summer league is the greatest thing for swimming, really. And it just kind of having that.
It's really the backbone of the sport, is it not?
Absolutely. And summer league is the backbone of the sport, and I think the reason why USA is so good in swimming is because summer league was the beginning of it, and USA swimming is just a kind of like, additional, like really after summer league. What is it after summer league? So I think to me, finding what motivates them, and
there's a swimmer right there.
Yeah. What's up, Kat?
Hey, Kat. Good. How are you doing? Good morning to you.
So once you find that motivation, you got to find a balance. Obviously, they're still young. You got to introduce some type of discipline, some type of structure for them to kind of have somewhat a really a perimeter for them, right? But at the same time, I challenge parents to also let them have their time off from it. Because if you maybe you give them time off, they're like, hey, I kind of want to go back to it again. I'm kind of looking forward to it again. And also, if you do it a little bit more like a little bit consistent, but it's not so much, too much for them, they'll see improvement. When they see improvement, they're gonna be more motivated to do it, right? I think it's just like we're human. Hey, we're gonna do this. I want to see. And people like to see them. Oh yeah, I got better at this one. Oh sure. Like I think that's to me, it's a big deal in coaching, making sure that they get some wins as well. Because training is hard, right? Training in anything you do is hard, but you gotta see that you're getting better. It's something. So the balance of that, the balance of creating perimeter for them and creating schedule for them, and at the same time, not afraid to give them some time off, it's important to me.
Well, let's take it back to your time going into UNCW.
Yep.
It's those blocks of years when you were with Coach Dave Allen,
Yep.
and you're now the premier coach. What was it about him that you learned most? Like, describe for us the man and what made him so special as a coach.
We always talk about this as a swimmer, and all the swimmers would agree with me. He has a special ability. He had a special ability that he can make you feel so special for him, and he does. In a way, not in a like a out in lavish way. It's in a way just you really want to get to know you as a person, and I think that's a big deal as a coach, and that's a big deal as a relationship, because as a coach, hey, my job is to help you to reach your best potential, whatever that is, to be better. Like, when you start with us, and I only want for each student athlete to become a better person when they leave the program, whatever that is, right? And I think Dave Allen had it right in a way where he wants to know your family, he wants to know you. He asks, how are you doing? And almost to me, sometimes swimming always comes second to me, in a way. Yeah, I think that, his record saying, if you're a swim coach, you have a pool named after you, you made it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You don't have to talk about what he achieved or anything. Well,
No.
They got a pool named after him. So that's all you need to know about the man. So I think to me that was a big deal. Just the relationship he had with every student athlete, and in a 38-year span. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing. Like, and for me, when I was a current student athlete, it's so cool to see so many alum would come back here to Wilmington, just like to reconnect with him and reconnect with the team, and their time with the team was so special. and that says a lot to me. And for me, it was a big deal because I value that, and as a coach right now, I look back to that where I told my swimmers that I'm always going to be honest with you, and I'm not going to change you. That's my goal. Is not. I'm not in the business of changing people. I'm in the business of showing you who the real Bobby Guntoro is. I'm in the business that, hey, when you step into the UNCW swimming and diving family, we're going to know and we're going to understand that people are different. But when you take your time to get to know people, you'll be able to learn how to work with different people and respect one another, and that's the most important thing. And that's why I say, like, everybody have different background and religion, politic view, and everything background. I was like, I'm different. I'm not from the U.S. Mine doesn't mean your background, whatever it's not, that doesn't mean I know everything, And I think that I got that from Dave, and I learned that from Dave. The X and O's, and coaching. I think science, like I'm a student of the sport. I certainly changed over the years, and from my years of coaching. 2018 definitely was I feel like I was coaching from 2012 until now. 2018 was a big year for me as validate me as a coach in the nation level. Like I coached 4 national titles in NC2A.
And this is at NC State.
This is NC State.
Yes.
This is NC State. In 2018, I coached guys who combined that group. We won 4 national titles and 2 NCW records. So that was really, to me, that was the year where accumulation from 2012 to 2018. And guess what? I think I'm a better coach now than I was in 2018. Because I look back, I continue to kind of data is everything, and evaluating myself is more important than evaluating my student athletes.
Well, I want to get into your coaching style and philosophy deeply, but I got to touch upon your actual swimming yourself, because you went on to crush it with Dave Allen.
Yeah, I did.
And you have a school record in the 100-meter butterfly. That was your stroke.
Yep.
Ironically enough, you said you couldn't do butterfly, when you were young, but a lot of that's probably due to the size of your body.
Yep.
And you went on to just destroy the butterfly. Well, first, tell us a little bit, because butterfly is such a unique stroke, and it involves so much power over a short period of time, and it's hard to practice because you got to put so much effort into it. Speak about butterfly for us.
That's what the general public believes about butterfly, but it truly is. Surfing is hard, but you can't power through surfing. You've got to go with immersion. The timing is more important than the power, right? I always say that to all my swimmers. Butterfly is all about the underwater dolphin kicks, right? Is a big deal, right? Because now you watch a butterfly race, they push off the wall, they stay underwater for 15 yards before they come up. And to me, butterfly is really important for you how to maneuver your body underwater. Number one, when a dolphin kicks move, the undulation up and down, and understanding how to move through the water during that motion. And then the stroke itself is so much timing. It's important. There's two kicks in one stroke for butterfly. One of them is the first, when your hands enter the water, you need to kick that. That's the first kick. And then as you move the arm, you need to move your feet up. And then as your hands right underneath your belly right here, that's another second kick. So why is that 2 kicks? Well, number one, we teach swimmers to understand the timing of the kick. Why is it important, the timing of the kick? Number one is you're trying to swim not through the water, but you're trying to swim really, you're utilizing, you use water as an element to propel you forward. If you're swimming through the water, you're going through this resistance. You want to get through the element of the water. You want to move your body forward, really kind of like above the water, flying, or really the same thing, flying above the water a little bit. So I think to me, butterfly is make it simple. If you once you got the timing right, it will allow to position your body to ready to fly each strokes at a time. And I always look at it that way. And I always start when teaching butterfly, even with my swimmers right now, we do timing, butterfly timing kicking almost every other day. And just making sure they understand that, because now they're a lot stronger than any of us, right? They can do 90 pounds weighted pull-ups 3 times, bam, bam, bam. But I was like, hey, without timing it right, you're not gonna be able to fly through the water. You're just gonna be plowing water. So to me, I was always focused on that when I was a swimmer. I wasn't the strongest guys, but I think my strength was I moved through the water better than many people. I knew I had to be that way because coming from a different country, we always feel that the Americans, they're big, they're strong, and the running joke. And I told them, like, yeah, people in Indonesia believe they're so big and strong because they eat milk and cheese every day and all that. We don't eat that. Like, and I remember back then, I'm like, man, we gotta eat cheese every day so we can keep up with these Americans. But I knew that I was like, hey, we're not as strong, we're not as big as the Americans. How do we maneuver that? What are the areas that we have to be better? And I think to me, coming in, I'm 5'11". A lot of flyers, they 6'2", they're big guys, 6'2", 6'4", and they're just wide, big dudes and strong. And I think that was kind of like my way of like, all right, you can have your power, but I'm gonna move through the water better.
Yeah, you took the efficiency up to the top.
Yeah.
So you had your wins. What was that like as a you've gone through this 20 years of struggle and now you're on top. Like, tell us a little bit about that feeling.
Talking about this like right now?
No, excuse me. I want to keep that in your
particular
competition years when you were like.
Yeah. It was. It's hard to explain because I always feel that it's a part of journey, and everything I do is a part of journey. And it's always sometimes we get caught up with goals and trying to achieve the goals and everything, but we forgot. Hey, you may not achieve one goal, but this journey is always an important chapter moving forward. So I think that was because my experience, living by myself since I was 12 years old. I look at it a little bit different way. I thought the biggest win for me was getting a degree. I remember.
And you have an accounting degree first?
I had an accounting degree, yeah. And then I went on to my master. I think the most important master I have was when I did it at NC State, when I did sport and youth development.
Yep.
And when obviously breaking records was really, really important to me, and because it was like the goal, because validate that, hey, I'm the best ever done in this university at that particular time, But like I said, you got to go back to my story in the beginning where my mother is such an important role for me, and she came from the academic side.
So the academics to you was really the gold medal.
Really the win, yes.
Amazing.
Academic was the really win. It was, I told the story to my swimmers 2 days ago. I say, we were giving out the rings, the championship rings. The last year championship teams, we just received the championship rings 3 days ago, and we're giving out the rings. And I was telling them a story about one of the rings that I received, and when I told them that the rings is important, but more importantly, it's a symbol that that chapter of my life right there, 2000 whatever, my brain works in such a mysterious way. I can remember a lot of events on that year, not just the swimming. And I think that's the beauty of the championship ring. So, hey guys, what's up?
More swimmers.
More swimmers. More crazy swimmers getting in the cold.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, wish me luck.
You're out there.
So one of the story that I'm a proudest moment is in these days of it's magnificent. Like I graduated from college without owning a laptop, and I told him, like, yeah, I graduated from college, and I would go to the library to do all my work in the library, and I would save everything in the C drive or whatever that drive was that UNCW has, you know. And the running joke in the team was, hey, you're looking for a bio, just go to the library. It's over there. It's either library or Wagner dining hall. That's it.
Yeah.
You go back and
Or the
forth right
pool.
there. Or the pool,
Yeah.
exactly. So, you know, I think to me, I look back, swimming taught me a lot about internal drive. Swimming taught me a lot about looking at problem solving in a different way. The American versus the Indonesian, whatever, like, you know, the size difference, right? The swimming taught me about, swimming gave me a lot of relationships, obviously. But look back to my days, my competition days, and the one thing that I'm really proud of was a small kid from Indonesia end up here and get a degree in this country and doing it by myself. I think that's not doing it by myself. There's a lot of people who supported me around me, but in a way, living in this country by myself.
Right. You didn't have mommy and daddy to run home to. Yeah.
I went home one time in 4 years of my career here. One time.
I'm sure they missed you terribly. So you've graduated. You stay on another year to be an assistant coach with Dave.
Yeah.
And then you're like, was it something inside you that said, I need to go out and make it on my own in this coaching world? Oh, and before we go there, did you know when you graduated, like you have the accounting degree, did you know that you wanted to be a coach?
No, I did not know that. You know, helping Dave was just because I was in town still. I was doing my internship here and all that.
Internship in accounting?
Internal audit
Wow.
at UNCW. And finished out my degree as well over there. And then I actually went to New York City working for Deloitte.
Wow.
In accounting first. And, you know, I thought that was my calling. It was just kind of like, close the chapter and then moving on. But through coaching with Dave was so good in knowing or evaluating what's our strength and weakness. And he saw something in me in coaching that he gave me. I mean, I just fresh out of college. He just gave me like a group, like a small group. Hey, work with this group. I think you'll be good at that, working with this group.
What was that group?
It was a bachelor group. It was the bachelor group. It was 6 people. I still remember it. And one of them ended up broke the school record in the 100 bachelor. She was a freshman that year. But Dave was giving me the opportunity to kind of play with it, but he guided me. If you have any questions, just let me know. And he'd tell me like, I want you to do this bit of this part of the season, do this a little bit more and all that moving forward. That was really cool to have that opportunity where almost like you're doing your craft, you know what I mean? Like it's like that's coaching is an art, right? You're creating something where it's your craft and you're working together, right? And when I went to Deloitte, I missed that. I was a part of I just feel like I didn't contribute as much. And I didn't want that. And
It wasn't your passion.
it wasn't my passion. And then the opportunity presented itself. Todd DeSorbo moved from UNC Wellington to NC State. And he asked me, hey, we're building something cool here at NC State. I need somebody that I trust that that can run the spring group with me. And I was like, yeah, hey, you know what? But I told Todd and Braden, who's the head coach at NC State, that I like to continue my education, something in youth sport. That was the beginning of my coaching career. I don't know how long I was going to be a coach. 1 year becoming 2, becoming 3, 4, 5, and then now it's just I'm a coach for life.
Bro, so you leave this beautiful beach,
Yeah.
and you're off and you're now at state, and you did amazing things at state.
Yeah.
The level there is D1 for those who don't know, Division 1. It's a high ranking thing. Here's the question: you're there. You then have an opportunity to come back to Wilmington to be the head coach. You're the head coach at state. What was that, I guess, thing in your head? Why did you want to come back?
Well, I think I look at life as chapters. For me, I met my wife in Raleigh. My wife is a North Carolina native. She's from Elizabeth City.
You met her at state while coaching?
Yep, I met her. We were neighbors in Raleigh. She's a PA. She was doing her thing, but we share. Like to hike, like to bike. We're just same two active people, and and then it just kind of the chemistry. Really had a chemistry, and we built our family. And when UNCW job came on the desk, I had a really just the first time that serious conversation with my wife. Where do we want to go with our family? And I think NC State experience was awesome, but it was non-stop. I'm around people's kids 24/7, but I wouldn't be around my kids at all, if any. I feel that UNC Wilmington will offer me that, and the Wilmington that I know, the Wilmington experience that I had, we had a community around this place. I'm not saying that an instant community for our family when just moved out here, but
just for context, you came here at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah. I came at the start of pandemic, and I actually, believe it or not, I enjoy pandemic because I was at home with my baby boy. He was 6 months old, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm being a dad right now. This is kind of awesome. Like I was quietly.
I vividly remember seeing you on the south end, and I was staying at the Surf Suites, and you came up, and dude, you were glowing.
Yeah,
you were so stoked.
I was loving it, man. So, but that was really okay. I want this. I want this for my kids, and I think that was really the biggest decision we made, and we made it for our family to grow here in Wilmington. How long am I going to be in Wilmington? I mean, I don't put any limit, and I told my wife, it's like, this is a good place for us to grow our family, and my wife agreed with that, and so yeah. So
you then go on to have 3 championships at UNCW. So the 3 years you've been here, you've had 3 championships. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay. You're a champion yourself. What is it that makes a champion?
When you're passionate about something and then you surround yourself with the right people, things will click, right? We build a culture. And again, my biggest thing is I won my first time in front of that team in 2020. I told them, I want you to know who I am. This is me. And this is my line. This is the black and white of Bobby Guntoro. Now, you may agree with that, you may not agree with that. But if we're gonna move forward right here, we have to. I can only be a successful coach for you if I do my thing. Now, I got to understand who you are, so that we can work together. And the first year was very tough. COVID-19 is a tough year for students, right? But then the honesty, the upfront honesty, I say this all the time, you're being honest, you're gonna go far. And we were honest with ourselves, with the staff. We put together the staff. The administrator really supported us. And our goal is as simply as put good people around us and be passionate in what we do, and understand that life is not perfect. We're not going to go for absolute. We're just going to focus on what we can control. I think results will come. Results will come.
And you say the black and white. What is the black and white?
Well, I mean, I think it's just more that what's acceptable for me, what's not acceptable for me. It's in a way, well, it's a lot of things. Like I believe in your body's your temple. And one of the team rules that I've said, like, I don't want you cannot drink 24 hours prior to your training. There's just no way alcohol is good for you 24 hours for your training, right? And sleeping is important for you. And I always focus on a lot of things outside swimming. And I believe in taking care of the business, putting our life in order for us to be able to manage everything. What does that mean, putting life in order? Just really put focus in the classroom and all that. There are things that, like that, is the black and white. And I said it to them, and this is Bobby Guntoro. This is going to be the team that I'm going to have, you know, and that we're going to have. Not I. It's not my team. It's our team.
You're the leader. You set the
Yeah.
you set the stage.
I set the stage. Yep. So really, that's in terms of swimming and everything. There was no team rules about swimming at all, and so everything's about how we do things outside the pool. Because I really believe that if we put our life in order, swimming's gonna come. And swimming's the easy part, but the goal is not, you know. Well, as we passed the oceanic pier, I said my goal as a coach is to make sure, hey, I want to work together with all the student athletes that when they leave, I feel that they are better people. They're better people. We got to focus on things outside the pool first, and I think that's our approach. I think sometimes coaches are so zoning about swimming immediately or any whatever sport immediately, and they forgot that it's like, hey, you know, in swimming we're only with them for about an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. That's it. 22 hours at a time. They're not in front of me, you know. So having them understanding of what's the black and white of Bobby Guntoro is really, really important.
And now, as a swimmer myself, I'd like to know a little bit about how you approach this whole balance between the hard work and then the recovery.
Yeah.
And you spoke a little bit about this with me on a deck a few months ago, and it really hit home. It's like, you said, I want to push these guys to a point and then back off.
Yeah.
And that's so, like, everyone's a little different possibly.
Yeah.
And how do you know when to back off, and how do you know when to put on the gas?
Yeah. Well, it's the honesty is very important to begin with. And I always say that I'm going to give you my honest effort. No matter how I feel, like I may come in and feel I'm human, right? Like, hey, you know, you got a morning off, but I may not get a morning off because I have other people that have class conflict, whatever. Right? But no matter how I feel, I'm going to give you my honest effort. I'm going to give you my best shot at how to prepare everything. And in return, I tell them, for this to be successful, you need to give me your best effort, no matter how you feel. Now, if you feel 70%, give me 100% at your 70%. And that conversation happens early on. And, you know, typically happen is the upperclassmen, they find more success because it's more, number one, they really understand how to operate at 100% when they're feeling 70%. And they really kind of know how to do that. And to me, that's a lot of observation. It's a lot of doing a lot of different tests. For us, we utilize, you know, Dr. C, Dr. Wayland C. He lives here in South Harbor Island, but he's been at UNCW for a long time, and then Professor Michelle. Also, we're working for one of the sprinters part of it. We're doing some lactate testing on how much the body produces lactate and all of that. And to me, that's a part of it where I want to know where they are. And the data shows everything. Really understanding that and really observing and evaluating things is such a big deal for us. And you know, again, I'm not perfect, right? But if they're giving us an honest effort and 100%, and we know when they break down or we know when they start breaking down, that's the time for us to back off a little bit.
What are those signs? Is it in the data or is it in the feeling?
Two things. I think the science of coaching is in the data. The art of coaching, you got to understand their body language too. Now, the breakdown is also mentally as well. And sometimes their body can still push it. I start noticing, hey, we go 2 more sessions go, we're going to lose them.
Is the breakdown mentally, do you see that in their attitudes?
Body language.
Body language.
Body language cannot lie. And I watch every single swimmer. The first 15 minutes.
How they get on the deck.
You got it. I watch them, and sometimes they're like distraught feeling. First thing I ask them, not so much about talking about practice, like, hey, tell me about how your day going. What's going on, And sometimes you get the answer, all that, sometimes immediately tears come down. Okay, what's going on, And, how can I help you to move forward today?
Now back to the 8-year-old, is that a thing that you back off in, or as in now these kids are old but they're still kids? Are they? Do you back off or do you hit on the gas?
I think the big thing is periodization of training is very important, and I told them that a management of up and down it's important. Shut down is not okay for our program because, well, I would say it's not okay. There's a 2-piece. It's psychology and physiology, and the psychology part of it, you are human, and there are moments that it's gonna be tough. For some people, tougher. For some people, than the other. We gotta understand, right? How do we manage that so that we can continue to produce, overall is a good the result that we want to produce in the end of the year, right? But physiology is, I always say that it's important for us to manage things. What does that mean in back off? How much we're doing? How the maintenance is important. The maintenance of, all right, maybe you go 3 days that you're gonna let their body kind of keep moving, but super easy, and give them that'll give them some mental break as well. Now, if we shut down for absolutely a week, no training, that's not good for your physiology, right? So, and you're a swimmer. It's a big difference swimming easy for not feeling good. All right, I'm gonna get in the water for like a 500 or 1,000, or you totally shut down for 3 days. When you come back, it's the one thing I love about the sport is it's so honest with us. It's so
it tells
rewarding.
It tells you everything.
Everything. It's rewarding, but golly, it's punishing you in the same time too.
And if you do it every day, you know where you are on the barometer.
You do. You really do.
But if you take a month break, oh dude, you're off the train.
You're done.
Yeah. You got it. It takes another month to get back to where you were, maybe.
Yeah. And that's what, again, it's the same thing. And I always say, you take off a month or 2 months, I say that when they come back, like welcome back from retirement.
Yeah.
It's your body is becoming untrained. Your body just had no idea about this. So
that's why you're keeping them swimming over this Christmas break here.
Yeah. It is, and we'll take off. Typically, people always do Christmas training, but typically they let them go home on the 17th or the 18th of December, and they all come back here on the 27th. So when I swim, that's what Dave used to do. Come back here to 27th. But Christmas feeling, holiday season, 27 to 26, people are still there, your mind's still there. Come back here to 27, you're not gonna get any good thing going on until the 31st. You're still looking for, I'm looking forward to New Year's. But for me, I'm like, hey, right now, and I told the team this, you're not gonna feel that holiday season until the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, right? The Christmas Eve, right? So stay here with us until the 22nd. We'll send you home. When you're home, you're in the thick of the holiday season. And then after the Christmas day, you're home until New Year's. You got all this to look forward to, right? So I think to me, mentally it's better for us to keep them here longer in the front part of the season, and then get them back here a little bit later.
And now, when you come closer to this championship period that's in February,
Yeah.
do you back off on the distances, and what's your philosophy with sets
Yeah.
regarding that, the build up to it?
Man, within the team, I probably have 10 different programs going on.
Based on, for those who don't know,
Yeah.
the sprinters and the distancers,
Yeah.
and then the strokes in those.
Yeah, absolutely. It's based on their physiology, really. Like, you know, and for the distance, we're gonna keep their volume where they are, but we're gonna tone down a little bit some intensity as we get closer to kind of get their body going a little bit. And then for middle distance, we're actually bringing down their volume, but pump up the intensity a little bit more. And at some point, we drop the intensity like the last probably 2 weeks. For sprinters, my sprinters practice yesterday was 2,000 yards sprinting. That's it. So the volume actually is very low. Why?
So it's a distance, like 2,000 doesn't sound a lot, but you're cranking in those 2,000s.
We got all fast.
Those are fast.
All fast. Like
The heart rate's high.
The heart rate's pretty high, and they did 22 fast repetitions, like at their max speed last night. But total practice is 2,000. Well, on the distance side, their total practice last night was 6,000 yards. And then when they came back, in the morning practice, they were at 6,000. So they're at 6,000, 6,000. The sprinters were at 2,000 and 2,000. It's really, really different. And really based on this, we kind of start a little bit more zoning in when even individually, just some people need to continue on with that fast intensity rep all the way until conference champs. And then some people, we just need to fine tune it. Second week of January, we have our swim meets again, Davidson here in Wilmington. That's a big test for our team to see where we are and what the next 7 weeks is going to look like for them training wise. So that's really the evaluation of observing.
Now, back to the heart rate physiology.
Yeah.
Do you track their individual heart rates throughout practice?
We do in certain sets, especially. So yesterday afternoon, for example, we trained. We do a little bit, not so much the heart rate, to be honest with you. It's more that we're kind of zooming in a little bit because there's so many people going on at the same time. So we give them specific stroke count for 25, and we give them really like what pace do they actually need to hit every time. So it's consistent for them, and we kind of know what pace time would do to their heart rate, and kind of go from there.
And what's a maxed out heart rate for a male, let's say a sprinter these days?
Well, sprinters, they can go above 200 pretty easily.
Wow.
They can hit up pretty good. The distance, not so
Yeah,
high.
how does that look for the distance?
Distance is we actually don't want them to be able to hit that zone
Because they got to go a long
because
time.
they got a long time. They got their body. We need to teach their body to clear the lactate rather than producing lactate. You know, so we're focusing on what we call lactate threshold. So it means that it's really the fastest pace you can hold for a certain amount of period of time, right?
Whatever that goal is.
Whatever that goal is, exactly. For us, the distance side, we call it distance, but some swimmers only go up to 500 freestyle. But some swimmers go up to the mile.
Right.
And that was right now is the main focus for the mile, really. For those from the mile. So the lactate threshold focus is really pushing how fast can their body hold on for the mile pace.
Where is swimming going? What like you've been around
Yeah.
the sport a long time.
Yeah.
How do you see the future of the sport?
Oh man, I think will always be a sport because swimming is the only sport that can save a life in the water, right? Obviously we're big on the beach right now. We're big about lifeguards, right? The beach lifeguard here in Russell Beach is a big deal. It's a big part of the community. Same thing, Carolina Beach or all around the area, right? I think it starts with the sport of swimming. I do believe that in terms of the NCAA level and all that, there's so many uncertainty in NCAA level. I don't know. And I don't know for any sports other than basketball and football, to be honest. But I do feel
Does that come back to the money?
Yes, absolutely. Come back to the NIL and like apartment.
It's because they
that.
can't extract so much money out of those sports.
You
so
got
it's
it.
like, how are we gonna invest in these things?
Yep, and you know what? The thing is also, athletic department. Some athletic department, almost all athletic department feels that, oh man, like if we invest more on this, we can make more money on that stuff. It's more that kind of like high return dream, but in reality, 90% athletic department are losing money because they're investing so much on that, in that revenue sport, right? Now, I think UNCW is a little bit different. We're relying a lot on the university itself for funding the UNCW athletic department. This just every year now. We don't have football, and I think mid-major programs, because the UNCW, Old Dominion, Old Dominion, they have football. But those schools that about the same size of UNC Wilmington that do not have football, maybe able to survive a little bit better, because it's not. We never had the money, So I think, to me, that's going to be an interesting factor in terms of the future of the sport.
Well, let me pause for a second, because there's so much cultural difference here. So let's take a country like Australia. Australia swimming is huge. Our friend Tim Lane, he's a coach over there, and like he's coaching a guy who's like basically, if he was in America, he'd be an NBA superstar. The guy is a superstar in his country. There's big money, endorsements. Why is it culturally that you think that's not in America? Because we have great swimmers in this country, and we have more people, and we have more money, and we have coastline. What is it?
It's back to NBA, NFL, and college
They
basketball.
suck it all up.
It is. And then, why there's no, why there's no a professional league in swimming? Because people want us to watch football, and people want us to watch basketball. So I think, to me, it starts with that. I think that's just. I don't think we can ever.
And the deeper question here is, existentially, why is that? Like, because they have footy in Australia, they have cricket. And it kind of goes also to the cultural question of, you talk about the ocean rescue and the surfing. Like, I know so many I'm deep in the surfing culture. So many of my surfing buddies don't swim. They're not at the pool. You think the two would go hand in hand. And to the extent they don't, I don't understand. Why do you think?
That's a good question.
Because you're around the swimmers.
I am around the swimmers.
And they're not all surfers.
No, and not all surface swimmers.
They're like none.
You're right.
Hardly any.
That's a good question. I think it's also have something to do, maybe. I like to swim outside. No, I don't swim in the pool. I like to swim outside. I enjoy that more. And many surfers do that, and many swimmers don't grow up in the ocean.
It's a foreign body.
It's a foreign. It's such a two. It's the same, but it's very different. Swimming in the ocean and swimming in the pool, very different, right? But I think it is. It should be hand to hand more. That's what we're trying to accomplish with what we're trying to do here in Wilmington. Not only in the collegiate level, and we really embody the lifestyle of being on the coast. And I think all the programming that we do hopefully can keep the swimmers or the kids in this community to be able to enjoy the ocean. We're not really focusing. I mean, again, a lot of programming focusing so much on competitive. We're like, no, why? It's just beyond that, and the competitive will come for some people that, they want that. Okay, great. So I think, to me, that's the starting point, I guess, The word's got to be different, and starting in the age group level of swimming has got to be really focusing. It's the water safety, the enjoyable in the water, and not just competitiveness. you know. So I don't know if that answered the question. So I don't know where we go, you know, from there, from here. But that's the start at least.
Yeah, so well said. To your youth, your passion of getting the youth.
Yeah.
Where do you see that going? Like I see that it's a super positive thing for these kids, but I also see it's a super positive thing. It's like an investment in the program.
Yeah.
You're planting seeds for the future. These are kids who are going to grow up here in this community and say, I want to go to UNCW. I want to swim for this program. Say a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, it's one big part about taking a job here in Wilmington was that I knew I would have the opportunity to work with the community in this area, and in the age group swimming part of it. I'm different, and I'm not afraid to be different, and I'm not afraid to do things different way. I don't believe, and again, like I think we touched this earlier, talk about some swimmers hate swimming. So I'm like, okay, we got to tackle it from the very beginning. So for me, the age group is an investment for the future, the swimming community in this town. And think about, we talk about Aquahawks, right? There was only one other programming that offered something like that in town. Like you either, and then other options, okay, you either swim from March to May, or there's no point for it.
And that program's super intense.
Super intense, right? And to me, I'm more like, well, okay, now that's what I'm bringing in, what our staff and our team bringing in is something that we don't necessarily yet offer in this community. And how do we fill the blank? And how do we continue to really offer swimming in a different way? And I think to me, that's the key.
So beautiful, so beautiful. Now, Bobby, you say you don't swim in a pool much anymore. Can you say a little bit about that? Is that because you spent so much time in the pool, and maybe you spend so much time at the pool now as a coach?
Yeah.
Environmentally, what is it in you that you like more? Because like from the outside in, like I don't spend the whole day at the pool. I go there for an hour every day, and that's me. But I live by it.
Yeah.
And there's a certain process that I love about it. And I think you might like the process, you know, the flip turn, the meditation of not seeing or touching anything. But you've done way more swimming pooling in your life than me. So tell me a little bit about your personal psychology to health.
You know, for me, to be able to keep my brain running, I need to see something different than my office in a way. And swimming is kind of my office, like the swimming pool that is kind of my office. So I'm there like yesterday. I walked in at 6:30 a.m. I didn't get out of there until 5 o'clock. Like I just kind of, I got to do this, I got to do that. Just we're managing 75 people, so you're always non-stop, right? So what I need to do every day is I need to get out of the pool. I need to get out of the pool deck to get my mind fresh. Just go outside, just get a nice clean air, and that's to me is more than anything really. I needed to get out of that. Unfortunately, my office is in the pool deck, on the pool deck. So for my mental and health and everything going is, my wife and I we'll go outside and we'll go to the intercoastal. We'll swim the intercoastal. There's the two of us, right? And that will be our date. Instead of going to a date night all the time and going to restaurants, like sometimes we swim together, and that's a little bit more. And I like being in the water, either it's on the board or just being around water. That's for me, it's a little bit more soothing. Again, if it's swimming, I'll go outside. So I need to get out of that office to keep things like, okay, when I come back, I typically know when the time for me to get out. When I'm writing practice, I'm writing program, and everything, I'm just stuck. My mind is stuck. But I need to drop. I need to get out of here. I need to get the fresh air and just to really see something different. it really helped my brain to kind of recover.
Is there a part of your day here in these winter months when it gets dark so early that you're like, I gotta get out, I gotta walk around campus, or is that part of the process?
Lunchtime, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. When the sun's up, yeah, because I knew like 5 o'clock is dark, So I'm like, okay, if I don't get out, it's a part of the process. Absolutely. Morning time, like I love on Tuesday, Thursday morning. Sometimes, like during the school days, that's my morning off during school days, and I stay home with the kids. I go out and then we just play in our backyard or whatever, and make the breakfast and drop them off to schools and all that. It's really nice to kind of, that's kind of like I want to be outside in the sun as much as I can. And winter days, got to make myself out. I gotta go out.
Now, Bobby, this is my last question for you.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of life, according to Bobby Guntoro?
That's deep.
Let's go.
The meaning of life. I think enjoy every chapter of your life. It's not about the destination, it's the journey. I think that really truly is to me. It's the journey. And throughout the journey of life, there's so many chapters. Throughout the chapters, you're meeting so many different people. It's not the amount of money you make. It's about how many relationships you created. I'm living my dream right now.
Living the dream. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 29 of Speaking from Water with Bobby Guntoro. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor to be with you, Bobby. Thank you very much for sharing your life with us and this last hour and a half. I know I got a lot out of it, and I'm sure everyone listening here and in the future will also. Bobby, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Peace.
Peace.